questions that I get asked is, how do I price my services? And it's something that the first thing that I have to say to you is, it doesn't matter what I think you should charge for your services. It only matters what you think, because pricing is all up here. It really is all up in our heads. It encompasses so many things, how much we believe that we're worth, because your net worth will never be more than your self-worth. And that's one of the biggest things that has affected the way I run businesses, is that line, is that your net worth will never be bigger than your self-worth. So it's understanding that and saying, okay, fine, so what do I bring to the table? What's so awesome about me? And so part of pricing is owning your worth, owning your awesomeness, and knowing the value in which you bring to the table, which is why understanding your micro niche, your specialism, your expertise, and the return on investment and result that your client gets for them. But all of that is really important to take into account when you're pricing your services. So it doesn't matter what I think, because if you think that you're charging too much, you won't be selling your stuff, and you're going to be unconfident in how you come across and how you put those prices across. When you tell people how much it is, it's going to show it in your energy, it's going to show in the way you say it, and you're going to come across as completely unconfident. And if you charge too little, what you'll find is that actually you will start feeling resentful towards your clients. You will start feeling like you have that you might want to start cutting corners, that where you may have once wanted to over deliver, you now do the bare minimum because they've only paid a certain amount, and therefore you're not doing any more. Think about that from a customer perspective, how that actually feels to be on the receiving end of somebody who is constantly like, no, that's where the buck stops, no more. And actually, isn't it far better to pay an amount and actually receive an excellent service, and that slightly over delivers on what you said you were going to do? As a customer experience, that feels so much nicer. And if you think about the lifetime value of your clients, like, getting clients is expensive. The amount you pay for a lead, the amount of, whether that's in time and effort, or for an ad, or for however else it is that you get your clients, they're expensive. There's a lot of effort and time and energy that goes into getting that client. And so what we don't want to be doing is getting clients coming in and paying for those clients coming in through the door and then pissing them off and them never buying from you again. So you're actually doing your clients a disservice by charging an amount that doesn't feel good to you. It has to feel good, it has to feel worth it, okay? And I'm going to take you through a process in a second that's going to show you how you calculate your service price, and perhaps a slightly unorthodox way, okay? So if you are currently charging for time, that needs to stop. It needs to be taken into account, but it's not the main thing that you charge for. No more, okay? People don't pay for your time, and actually your time is the most precious thing you own, okay? And you need to give that away to help them achieve a result, okay? It's not about paying for the time, it's about paying for the results. And it's however long that takes to get that result is how long it takes. Don't feel that you have to pack a ton of extra time into something to make it feel worth more, because you don't have to do that. It takes as long as it takes. That's, how long should a program be? As long as it takes to get the result that you're promising, okay? So we want to shift it over from time to results. I'm going to get the trusty whiteboard out here so I can show you what we need to be doing. So the first thing we need to be taking into account is, what results am I getting my clients? What result am I getting my clients? Okay, it needs to be solid enough, okay? And in order to make it solid, you need to be asking yourself, how will my client know when they've received the result? Okay, so that's the biggest thing you need to be thinking about. Now you need to be thinking about the return on investment of that result. Now, what do I mean by return on investment? I mean, what impact does it have on their business, their life, that result gives them. Okay, so so you've got your solid direct result, but then you've got the impact of that. And think about the wider impact. Think about, their health, their mental health, their finances, their relationships with their family, with their friends, whoever that might be. It's really important to take into account all of that, the result and the impact. How much is that worth to your client? How much is that worth to the right person? Because the other thing to consider here is to somebody who doesn't want that result or that return on investment, it's not worth much at all. But think about the ideal client that wants those things. How much is that worth to them? That's how we start thinking about the kind of price that we want to be charging for. But you think about, okay, so we've got the result and the return on investment. Now we need to start thinking about what I like to call, this is where time can come into this, is the energy expended, okay? So you've got results and the ROI. Now we want to be starting to think about the energy expended. Now the energy expended is to do with the time that you spend with your clients on calls. It could be like, are you offering support in between sessions? If you are, how much access do they get? What are the boundaries around that access? When can they get hold of you? What's your response time? How urgently can they get hold of you? How much access is there? Take that into account as well. Then you also want to be thinking about perhaps any prep time. It's different for business to business, but is there prep time involved for each client? Take that into account as well. We also need to think about the level of support. How much of you are you giving? How much energy are you putting into this client? So we need to think about and visualize that process. So physically visualize it. From the moment that they go, yeah, this is what I want, and they've signed the contracts and whatever else, and and you're about to go ahead, visualize that process of taking them through your process of the access that they get, of the support of going through those calls, of the results that they're getting along the way, the process, all of that, or the system that you go through. Really visualize it. And then when I say visualize it, physically close your eyes. I mean, you don't have to do it right now, but close your eyes and really take yourself through the paces of what that client will be being taken through and the level of support and energy expended on your part, on what that includes, okay? So we're looking at the result, the return on investment, we're looking at the energy expended. Now there's one more thing that we also need to take into account here, okay? And let's just call it awesomeness, okay? Don't know whether it's going to actually fit onto the screen. Excuse the rubbish writing, okay? So you've got the results, the return on investment, energy expended, and the awesomeness, okay? So we need to take that into account. Now, awesomeness, what do I mean by this? I'm talking about your experience of in the area that you're helping them to achieve the result, okay? So how awesome are you? If you have qualifications, that's part of your awesomeness. You've spent time and money investing in training. That has helped you to increase your awesomeness, okay? We could think about the experiences that you've been through, the hell and back, which has created how awesome you are right now. We need to take into account all of that backstory as well to really own our worth, to start to realize what we bring to the table. Writing down all of your qualities and attributes that help them achieve that result. Writing down all of the experience, qualifications, training that you've been through that helps them achieve that result. We have to take into account all of those things, okay? And that equals your price, okay? So what I want you to do is I want you to actually think about a price right now, and I want you to write it down. I want you to write down the price and the investment on your client's part that they're going to be investing into that particular program. Write it down on a bit of paper right now, okay? Then I want you to question it. I want you to really think about everything we've just gone through and visualizing that whole process, After you've done the prep work, you've got to have done the prep work first as well. You need to write down the prep for the return on investment and the result that you're giving them. Make sure you're understanding the impact of what that means to that person. What are you really giving? What's that gift? Really go through strategic thinking. What are you giving somebody? How much of you are you expending? How much are you worth at the end of the day? I mean, that's kind of like an open-ended question, right? You could see, for those of us who are a bit perhaps self-involved, we're like, oh, I'm priceless. And obviously, we've got to put a price on it, right? But we also really have to really take into account what we bring to the table. Really look at that value, okay? Then you're going to write and you're going to think about it. How good does that make me feel? Do I feel ripped off if I was to get that amount? Or would I feel comfortable? And this is where it gets a bit shady, right? Because when we start charging more for our services, it's always going to have that moment of the amount of people I've run pricing talks in the past, and the following month I had the same people come back and they were like, I did it, I wrote down. But the feelings that they went through when they did it, they think this one person did it through an email, and so she said that this is the price and wrote it, and she was like, I was so like, I edited it, deleted it, rewrote it again, and finally she pressed send. And it was that moment of, oh, and apparently this person took 2 days to come back to them. But when they did, they were like, yeah, sure, no worries, let's go ahead. And she was over the moon. She was over the moon, the fact that it happened, but it was still scary. So it's not going to feel totally 100% comfortable, okay? But you do have to build your courage up ever so slightly. And I'm very careful when I say this, because a lot of people out there will say that raising your prices means that you have to take a bravery pill. And I'm not too comfortable with that analogy, because it assumes that you are charging beyond your worth. And you're not doing that. What I want you to do is really feel into it, really own your worth, what you are, what you feel that you are worth, and truly charging for that. But it will still feel like you do. Let's compromise here. You're going to have to take half a bravery pill, right? You're going to have that. It's that uncomfortableness of doing something new that you haven't done before. It's the uncomfortableness of that I've never asked for this before. The anticipation of how will it be received will feel uncomfortable. But as long as you know with every fibre of your being that you are worth that amount, there is no haggling, there is no discounting. It is what it is. And if they truly can't afford it, which by the way is very rare, when people say they can't afford something, it generally means that you haven't demonstrated the transformation in value enough. But if they truly can't afford it, then you can go back and say, okay, so what's your budget? What's your budget? And what else can I do for you instead that will help you progress from where you are right now? You're not offering the same package because that's what it's worth, but you can maybe do something slightly different for them that's within the means that they want. So think about all of that. Think about the visualization. Think about what they're receiving. Think about your energy expended, your worth, and write that number down and just test yourself. Just increase it slightly and see how that makes you feel. Keep increasing it and just see how it feels inside of your body, and just test yourself out. And you'll get to a point where you're like, no, that's the number. That's as far as it's at. And it doesn't matter what that number is, because pricing is all up here and you have to feel good about it. It doesn't matter what anyone else thinks, you have to feel good about it. But do know this: if you price cheaply, you will be associated with that price. And just to tell you a little bit of a story, I helped my other half start up his business, and I occasionally weighed in with a bit of business coaching, and getting him to raise his prices has been an ongoing battle for a while. But he finally raised them, and by a significant amount. And he actually found that as soon as he did it, he got more bookings. And the reason is because they were looking at the competitors in the market, and he was going along the lines of, oh, we're cheaper, therefore we'll scoop up the rest of the people. But actually, people are skeptical. They're like, well, hang on a minute. Why are you so much cheaper than everybody else around? What am I not getting that means that price is there? And it makes people uneasy. So whilst, and this is very important, whilst I say don't compare yourself to other people's pricing points, what I'm saying is don't use their pricing point as a marker for yours. It depends on the type of business that you're in. When you look at things like, for instance, airlines, okay, there are people like Ryanair, I think it's Southwest Airlines, I think, forgive me if I'm wrong, in the US, who are very, very successful, and they both position themselves as the low fare airline. And everything they do is stripped back, but that's because their customers, they don't care about the fancy meals. They don't care about the business class stuff. They care about getting to A to B as cheaply and as quickly as possible. That's what they care about. They don't want to have to pay through the nose because they don't care about all that other stuff. They just care about getting to where they need to go for as little money as possible, right? So that works for that kind of business. But ask yourself, does that work for your type of business? Is that for you? Andy's clients, they didn't want to do it on the cheap. His ideal client is not a backpacker. And by the way, he basically takes people up to Everest Base Camp or provides the platform for people to book through to get to Everest Base Camp, right? But it's a scary thing going to Everest Base Camp. It's nerve-wracking. They've got a lot of questions. There is danger involved with it if you don't do it properly. And so for them, it's not about just doing it as cheaply as possible. It's about peace of mind. It's about making sure that they're looked after, that they're with a trusted company that makes sure that their travel arrangements are sorted, that they have somewhere to sleep, that they're fed, that they're not going to die up there, right? Okay, that they associate the cost with being looked after. And so you need to discuss with yourself how you want to position yourself. That does have to come into it. Don't be looking at other people and what they price it off, because you don't know their mindset. They could be the most, and this is the thing, you could look at them and go, wow, well, they're awesome, and they're only charging that amount. Well, that's up to them. You know, you might see their awesomeness, but do they? Are they owning it? Are they charging their worth? And pricing, you know, from the outside, there is a perception. People are skeptical. People are savvy. People do question why things cost the way they do. So have a good think about that and take all of that into account when you're thinking about pricing your services. I hope that helps.